Grateful for your time there. To my right is a Deputy Communications Minister, Felix Kwachufu. So Felix, good morning, and grateful for your time once again. And then to my left is a Communications Director of the PNC, Manuel Wilson. Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
And I can't cease admiring your tie.
Grateful. Thanks to DK Clothing. I'm always in that. Exciting. I get you his contact.
I'll be happy.
Right. Let's start the conversation this morning. And a lot of them, the newspapers I have here, are reporting the confusion, misunderstanding at Nana Addo's house. The NPP is asking for the right thing to be done. They are condemning the attack and want the police to act. The NDC is also suggesting that the perpetrators of that act be brought to book. Before we can talk about the Daily Graphic story, NDC will accept results. The president asking others to do so. Emmanuel, let me start with you. The incident there, could it have been avoided?
You're talking about the incident
at Nana Addo's house.
Yes, it could have, but right, permit me to say a good morning to our viewers.
Right.
And congratulate the US for a successful election that he held.
Right.
And then extend my condolence to the government of New Zealand. They were hit just over the weekend by an earthquake.
Right.
And this morning I'm getting information that there are a reasonable number of casualties, so the families and the government, my condolence, my deepest of condolence to all of them. I was taken aback yesterday when I got the information. In fact, I read it on the social media that there is an attack taking place at Nana's end. That is the flag bearer of the NPP. Now, Bright, when I got the information, I felt a bit disappointed, because on several platforms, I have acknowledged the fact that this year's election seems to be a significant improvement over the past elections, simply because I have not witnessed, let's say probably from 2000 and 2004, when I became very active in national politics, I have not witnessed any election year that has a strong demand on issues and manifesto policies than this year. And so for me, it was really a significant, it has been a significant period for me. Only for me to wake up and realize that there is an attack, something that I was thinking that we are not going to experience in this year, I have heard information coming from both sides, from the NDC side, from the MPP side. And what is worrying to me is that we seem, as a nation, not to be giving so much importance to offenses that, quote unquote, we define as political offenses or political violence. Such that if I engage myself in any violent act, the way and manner in which the police and law enforcement agents will treat me seems to be a bit different when I am seen in a political colors and engage in the same act. And so for me, our gradual shift as a nation, where we are beginning to define and accept definitions for violent activities, seems to be a worrying one for me. And so I was thinking, and I'm still thinking, I'm proposing that, look, we should rather encourage the law enforcers, the police, to dive deep into this matter. They should come out with the findings as in their reports. They should be able to identify where it all started from, those that are at fault, whether the fault is coming from an individual wearing an NDC attire or an MPP attire. We should take that individual out of the political colors and let us treat the individual as such, as the law demands it to be. But what I'm saying again is that one thing that caught my attention from the narratives I heard from individuals from NPP and individuals from NDC is this, and that is where I want the police to come in. The NDC and the NPP are all saying, those that I've heard from, they are all saying that, look, there was a gunshot, and the gunshot started from both sides. This NDC says Nana's security guys started a gunshot. The NPP says the NDC individuals who were going on the health walk, they started a gunshot. So I am not very sure where it all started from. But one thing I know is that there was a gunshot. So if there was a gunshot, Bright, I want to find out who was in possession of the gun. We want to find out whether those guns are licensed guns. We want to find out whether those individuals who were even in possession of it have the right to hold those guns. Whether it is coming from NDC or it's coming from MPP. I want us to get into this matter and find it out. But you see, I am also struggling to believe that just some few days into election, we'll begin to record this kind of events. It is something that needs to be condemned in totality. But we will be able to condemn it boldly when we know where it started from. If we know that it started from individuals that were in Nana Addo's house, then we'll know how to condemn it, because you cannot condemn something when you don't know who you are condemning. So if we also know that it started and it is coming from those who were going on a health walk on the ticket of the NDC, then we'll also know that, look, it is coming from this side. We need to condemn it. We need to call on their leaders to condemn it. But all of this, we'll be able to get to the root of it when we activate fully the investigative processes from the police. There's one thing that I also got from the report that I've heard so far, and if it is really true, it is worrying, that this tag of war, to put it that way, it lasted for about 30 or so minutes. But you see, if you know where the event took place, it is less than 2 minutes walk to the police station.
The Nima police
station. So where were the police? Because if this is an event that lasted even about 20 minutes, I think that the proximity is so close that the police should have gotten into it, and it shouldn't have lasted beyond even 5 minutes. If the police had gotten, they've taken a swift action, I'm also sure there would have been some few arrests, and that would have led to the investigation process. Where were the police? Why should it take about 30 minutes or so before the police will come into it? Because even if it is 5 minutes, knowing very well that there were gunshots, it means that there were arms involved. And if it was just even 5 minutes, individuals could have lost their lives. My worry is this. You see, that particular stretch or that particular view, it seems to be a busy stretch, because individuals move in and out, and Nima in particular seems to be a populated,
the ring road.
So my worry is this. At the end of the day, if there were casualties, it may not have even affected those key groupings that were involved, but an innocent soul that was walking or that is walking around may have been the one to be affected. And that is why I wanted the police to have acted very swiftly. I am yet to be convinced why the police, that is, if the story I heard was true or is true, that it lasted for about 30 minutes plus.
And yet the police
did not do anything. I'm yet to be convinced. I want the police to come out to tell. But in all this, Bright, in all this, I am still calling on the followers of all political parties that, look, election winning has nothing to do with violence. If you are going to win election, you win it.
Without violence.
Without violence. If you are going to win election, you will win it without attacking your opponent. If you are going to win election, you will win it without defacing the posters of any of your political opponents. I also want to entreat the political leaders. Of course, the PNC, we are very committed to it. But anytime we record violent act, political violent act, it seems to have its roots from the two political parties, NDC and the MPP. So I want to call on their leadership to find a way of talking to their followers, to find a way of talking to their members. Maybe sometimes they may not be so strong in influencing their followers. And that is where I am always calling on the law enforcers, the police, because they are supposed to be a neutral entity.
Neutral arbiter.
You understand? So they should also come in as urgent as possible. And they should not allow the establishment of what is gradually being defined as political violence. Oh, this is political violence. It was politically perpetrated, and so we need not go into it. Every crime is a crime.
All right. Wilson, I come back to I'm grateful. I'm expecting the Member of Parliament for the Futi constituency, Alexander, I think you're marking to join us. It was around, you just thought you were waiting for him. All right, Felix. Now, He's made quite key point, the fact that we are unable to differentiate between what is political violence and what is violence. And he suggests clearly that this could have been avoided if those involved are brought to book.
You see, let us be frank and cut to the chase. We are where we are, and that incident was recorded because the leader of the MPP, unfortunately and most regrettably, has chosen to behave more like a warlord than the normal leader of a political party.
How?
This is a man who has recruited thugs, who they call invisible forces, and as the pictures that have emanated show, armed them with guns and other offensive weapons. And mind you, these are the same group of thugs who have been at the center of the violence in the MPP. You recall that? Now, how does somebody seeking public office or the office of president conduct himself in this way?
His security detail?
You see, right. You are a normal citizen. If you happen to have a mansion somewhere in Accra and you want it guarded, you don't go and recruit thugs and give them weapons. What you do is to use
we can't say they are his security detail.
But what security detail? Why? There are many private residences that have qualified security personnel, trained properly, who work for licensed security companies. If you do not have confidence in them, you use the police, who are the regular institution that provides security for all of us. Once you go outside of the arrangement, recruit thugs who are sympathetic to your party, and give them weapons, you are going to have the kind of incident that we had.
Why is it the police arresting these persons you refer to as thugs, if they are?
Because you see, it is not the first time. Since 2014, they have been at this. They have launched similar attacks on their own party people. Many people, in some instances, people have actually died because of the conduct of these thugs who call themselves invisible forces. Now, NDC supporters are going on a health walk, a very peaceful health walk. The MPP flag bearer's house is at a busy intersection. He owns the house, or better still, it was his father's property that he lives in. The street in front of that house is a public place. Everybody is allowed to pass over that street. Even the Flagstaff house, which is just behind you, which is a security area because it is a residence of the occupier of the highest office of this land. People pass by it, in front of it, behind it all the time, and nobody gets shot at. So the notion that people are not allowed to pass in front of the house of the MPP flag bearer is completely untenable. And in order to cover up for their misconduct, they team up with some media houses to peddle a complete untruth that the house was attacked. That house was never attacked. In fact,
the supporters were not there.
Indeed.
That's what you're saying.
In fact, the police had cordoned off that place because we had told them we were going on a health walk. And so they had demarcated clearly what rules they should use. They had cordoned off the place. How were people going to attack a house that had been cordoned off?
Well, the stones and the bottles found.
Again,
the Daily Guide has a picture of stones and bottles in.
Is it right? I'm surprised that you are using the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide is an MPP tabloid owned by the national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. You don't expect them to tell the truth in this matter. Look, it is instructive that after the incident, the Greater Accra Regional Commander and his men approached the house and inquired why the thugs called the Invisible Forces were firing shots from the house of the MPP flag bearer. They actually refused them entry into the house. And these are the words of the Greater Accra Regional Commander. If indeed bottles and stones had been thrown into the house, why did they refuse the Greater Accra Regional Commander and his men access to the place to verify the claims that they were making?
I've seen pictures of the CID but also trying to mark.
Is it right? There was considerable time between the claim and the time that the CID came. In between that, the Greater Accra Regional Commander went to the house with a view to verifying the claims. They didn't do that. Added to that is the fact that we are aware that that house has CCTV cameras all over the place. So it should be fairly easy for them to produce the footage in order for
to help the police in
absolutely,
its work.
in order for everybody, maybe they can give it to your station to show, so that everybody ascertains the veracity or otherwise of that claim. We hold that it is a blatant untruth that they invented in order to provide a pretext for their violent conduct. And the pictures are there. You've seen pictures of them holding guns. How in modern day Ghana does the flag bearer of a party recruit such thugs and give them weapons to conduct themselves like this? And again, you see, the danger in that kind of behavior manifested yesterday because they are not regular security people. These are basically a ragtag army of thugs who are saying they are providing security for their flag bearer. They are also not properly trained. So they don't even know how to behave in front of a crowd. Well-trained security officials will not conduct themselves that way. You don't fire warning shots at the slightest sight of a crowd that is approaching your house or passing in front of your house. That is not how regular security people are trained to behave. I look at the danger that they expose everybody to. But it so happens that when they misconduct themselves this way, they quickly team up with their allies in the media. And so if you notice the first reports, Joy FM, City FM, and all of them, they were claiming that the house had been attacked, when none of them were actually around. The closest station to that house is Star FM. It is only 1 minute across the house of the NPP flag bearer. They actually were there and saw what happened. And so they have an entirely different report, which shows that the claim of an attack cannot be true. Indeed, right, who goes on a health walk carrying stones? Or who goes on a health walk carrying bottles?
You're suggesting that the stones in there were not from the NDC supporters.
We contend that it is a blatant untruth, because I have told you that the place was cordoned off so that people don't veer into that house, because the police are conscious of the fact that if steps are not taken and some overzealous supporters get excited and veer towards that, it could create a potential standoff.
No posters were defaced. No posters of the NPP candidate were defaced.
Our supporters were marching peacefully.
They did not deface any of the posters.
They didn't go to attack that house. It cannot be said that they can't pass in front of that house, because, as I've said, it's a public route.
But did they deface any of the posters?
I'm not aware that anybody defaced any posters. In any event, if somebody defaces a poster, it cannot provoke gunshots, because posters are defaced all the time. NDC posters have been defaced. There are instances where
that's wrong.
It is a wrong. That is even assuming without admitting that okay. And of course, with thousands of people like that, it will be difficult to even control everything that you do. But I'm saying that if you go and deface a poster, the response to that cannot be gunshots. And the gunshots were fired because of a certain mentality of violence imprinted in the minds of those thugs who call themselves invisible forces. And that is why we have consistently called for the disbandment of that kind of group. You see, and the flag bearer of the NPP must realize that when you are seeking public office, you must conduct yourself in a certain way. Since 2012, or better said, since he lost the elections of 2008, he has constantly preached that. He stands addressing party supporters and speaks about all die be die.
No, but those are
that you see, and right, if it were the case that this was an isolated incident involving just clashes between two opposing political parties, perhaps you could dismiss it as, you could condemn it and say that it's an unfortunate development. But check the pattern of behavior of the boys who were holding the guns yesterday.
Could the NDC have avoided the route?
Right. I'm saying that the Flagstaff House, which perhaps is the most heavily guarded establishment in Ghana, people are allowed to pass in front of it. There's a pavement there where people are allowed to pass in front of it. People pass behind it. People drive behind it all the time.
But they don't throw stones into the house.
No. The flag bearer of the NPP cannot declare any part of Ghana a no-go area.
The Flagstaff House is used, but people don't throw stones into
get the point I'm making.
Okay.
I'm saying that you are asking whether NDC supporters could have avoided using the route in front of the house. It is a public place. No entity, whether he is flag bearer of a party or not, is allowed to declare any place a no-go area. If you own property, that property belongs to you. You take steps to secure it. But the public space in front of it can be used by anybody. It should be possible for you at 1 a.m. to go and walk in front of that house without anybody accosting you. I'm also putting it on record that the claim that NDC supporters went to throw stones and bottles is a blatant untruth. And that they cooked that up in order to justify the conduct. What actually happened is that they thought that merely because that house belonged to their flag bearer, nobody has a right, especially if it's an NDC person, to even come close to it. That is what the problem is. But that kind of mentality is wrong. And I am contesting, or I'm saying, that it stems from a certain ethos of violence. That party for some time now believes that violence is the way to go. If you have a disagreement with anybody,
Felix, that is what you think.
Yes, no, is it right? But you see, I've laid for you. I've laid for you.
Wilson is suggesting, making a point that perhaps these such incidents continue to happen because we have not punished people who
I agree.
engage in that.
I am even unable to understand why the police never arrested any of the invisible forces who were engaged in NPP intra-party violence. Perhaps that would have been a very good starting point if they had been arrested when all those clashes, because we have footage of them engaging in brawls and fighting and wielding offensive weapons in their headquarters. Perhaps if any of them had been picked up and dealt with according to law, perhaps could have prevented this sort of incident. But you see, the way that we ourselves behave as a people, the way that we ourselves behave as a people, makes it difficult for some security operatives to operate. Because if the police were to move in to arrest these boys and prosecute them, immediately members of the media, the clergy, civil society, so-called NGOs would all come and claim that we are witch hunting MP people, or they are being victimized, or they are being intimidated. When the BNI arrests people who have conducted themselves in ways that violate Ghanaian law, MP people go and mass up at the BNI and bang on the doors. Destructively enough, when they go and do those, nobody even fires on them. Yet, when people are passing in front of the house of your flag bearer, you go and bring such offensive weapons and fire at them. But like Wilson said, we should be looking at how come the MPP flag bearer is stockpiling such arms in his house. Why should such ammunition?
Well, but the
boys, listen.
The police is, you just saw a few people holding
no, but is it right?
If you say stockpile weapons, it is inaccurate.
But right,
yes,
right,
it is inaccurate.
No, it is not inaccurate. First of all, these boys reside in the house of Nana Addo, or better, they claim to be providing security for him. Okay, how did they come by such weapons? And they could not have had such weapons without the consent of their flag bearer. So how does somebody who wants to become president allow such offensive weapons to be kept in his house?
Is the police able to deal with this situation? From what you have just told us,
the police,
and the fact that
I expect the police to deal with this situation. Like I've said, it is because of the way that all of us have behaved as a people.
Right.
Where we constantly bastardize state institutions and prevent them from carrying out their duty, that we have incidents like this. But under no circumstance, look, I'm a public official. If I want security, I know what to do. You go to the appropriate quarter. Indeed, the police have been engaged in discussions with political parties.
If you don't have that trust in,
you see, it does not lie in the mouth. It does not lie in the mouth of political parties and somebody who wants to become president to say that they don't trust state security officials. When, in the unlikely event that you become president, you are going to have to work with them. So we should not be countenancing that kind of rhetoric. It is only an excuse for further misbehavior. How is it that immediately parties go into opposition, they lose all trust in state institutions, the very institutions that they were working with when they were in power? Because in the unlikely event that the MPP flag bearer becomes president, is it not going to work with the police? If there is any act of violence in the country or there's any disorder, is it not the police that he will call on to restore law and order? So how can he not have confidence in them when in opposition and suddenly develop confidence in them in the unlikely event that he becomes president? So we should not be encouraging that kind of rhetoric. What happened is unfortunate. It is condemnable. The John Mahama campaign has issued a statement condemning it. We also condemn the blatant lies told by those media organizations in order to skew it as usual, like they always do. When they misbehave, they rush to the media and paint a story. And without any form of verification, these media houses publish stories seeking to skew it. So what happened there was not an attack on the house of the MPP flag bearer.
The supporters did not go to the house.
They did not go to that house.
They did not deface
They
posters.
did not. You see, I'm telling you that if there is an incident, somebody goes to fire guns, and a few supporters go and deface posters, it is not the base upon which you go and fire warning shots. Nobody fires warning shots because you've gone to deface posters. If that were to happen, the number of defacements that happen in Ghana on a daily basis during campaigns, we cannot count the number of gunshots that can be fired. So their behavior was unlawful. Their behavior was violent. It must be condemned. And most importantly, the flag bearer of the MPP must call them to order. This sort of thuggery is not allowed in civilized politics.
All right, I'll come back to you on this. I'm grateful. Alexander Afinyo-Markin, Member of Parliament for Future Session. Alex, good morning.
Morning.
I hope you're doing well.
Well, but it's great. It's been stressful, but we managed.
Thanks so much.
Our youth rally at Mori.
Mori, all right.
Where we experienced poverty. We saw people who although have a vice president from that community, but the place is very underdeveloped, and they were naturally calling for change. It's encouraging, and one is very optimistic that the generality of the people of Ghana want change, and nothing will stop it, in spite of all the provocations. I am surprised really at Felix this morning. His posture, his choice of words, and the language used this morning is extremely disappointing. Not too long ago, there was this gentleman who wrote about the president, Fadi, and where he had used certain things that said certain things that the president did not find seem comfortable.
Right.
I think the BNI arrested this gentleman. Felix was here condemning that act, and I felt that, yes, it was not appropriate enough to say that the president had HIV. Today, the NDC tax have attacked the flag bearer's residence, the flag bearer of the MPP, and is here trying to justify and trying to find a way of even attacking the personality of the Nado.
He said they did not attack the house.
Please.
So you can tell us what you know.
Please.
Because he's told us at length how the supporters were moving on the road in front of the house and never.
And what happened?
Because
they were moving
the
on.
Police had cordoned off the house.
They were walking or jogging in front of the house, which in his words is a public place. So, and what happened? What happened? You see, Felix must know that yes, he's a communicator, but there are certain things that when he says, he takes personal responsibility. He goes against his personal reputation. And that I want my brother to know. It is just unfair to now attack.
Felix, I'm coming back to you. No, Felix, I'm coming back to you. He's just joined us. So you allow me. I'm coming back to you.
Why your flag bearer's reputation, which is status, you are not worried about
I'm coming back to you, Felix.
The order
Felix, please.
You think that is a good reputation.
Please go on. Alex, please go on.
You see, he must know that sometimes the way he tries to justify, when somebody wrote that the president had HIV, you were here. You were shouting on rooftops. That was wrong. And the national security must take interest. That is what you said. Right on this platform.
Have I said it is about HIV this morning?
Oh, I'm trying to give you an example. Could you allow me to talk?
All right.
What is the relevance of that today?
Yes, I would demonstrate the relevance.
Another Monday.
Anyway,
Alex, please go.
Oh, I thought we decided not to be heckling.
You are tired from really, so I
last week we signed an undertaking.
Yes, and I decided to.
Anyway, right.
Let's all agree to that.
Fadi said, Mr. President had HIV. You were not comfortable. And you thought that, look, how could you write such a thing about the President of the Republic? To the extent that the President had to instruct and direct the national security to arrest the man at the airport. Oh, let me finish, then rebut me. You let me finish so that you rebut me. So let me finish, then you rebut me. Oh, you let me finish. Mr. President directed, instructed, and authorized national security to arrest Fadi because Fadi had made allegations against the president. What allegation? That Mr. President had HIV. They were not comfortable with it. They were not comfortable. Today, your party people go to attack the flag bearer's residence, destroy properties, because those billboards, those posters are the properties of the party and the flag bearer. They destroy same. You turn around and you want to smuggle another conversation in by saying the flag bearer has called for all die, be die, and all that. What is the relevance and where on earth did Nana Addo call for violence in this country? I think Felix and his NDC party must be fair to the people of Ghana. In this country today, the priority of the Ghanaian people, one, is to have jobs. You complete college of education, you have no jobs. Since 2013, you complete college of nursing, you have no jobs. Local manufacturers have no protection from the state. Cement manufacturers have been crying. The textile industry has also been crying. Food vendors, restaurants have been crying. We have restaurants that are operating at a very high cost. I have cited the Fridays situation where over 50 people were sent home because of high cost of doing business. Electricity, power supply has been most unreliable consistently for 6 years. You sit here, this is your 8th year. The NDC is not interested in issues that will give Ghanaians comfort because they have a life of pomp and ease. Because at least they can afford. At least the NDC members have a means of surviving. So they don't see the cry of the ordinary Ghanaian. What they are interested in is to attack the personality of Nana Addo. Nana Addo is this, Nana Addo is that. But I can assure them, the Ghanaian people have seen through the hypocrisy and the double tongue. In this election, it's not the MPP that is crying for change. It's the Ghanaian people who are crying for change. Now, let me conclude on a point. One bit of hypocrisy. Anytime the people of Ghana have had a cause to draw the attention of the Electoral Commission to certain inconsistent behavior that may undermine the outcome of the elections, you hear no less a person than the president coming to defend the Electoral Commission and the chairperson.
Alex, where is this from?
No, yes, I'm
yes,
there.
yeah.
Oh, well, let me finish, then you come in.
I thought you said that was the last.
Yeah, but I
want
want you to land.
Okay,
I thought you landed.
No, he is supposed
Alex,
to.
Okay.
Hold on.
Except you're going back
Yeah.
to the issue we started. You're drifting too far away.
No, I'm not. I mean, it's an all-inclusive matter.
Okay.
Anytime, because this is a very serious matter. Anytime people try to tell the Electoral Commission to behave well, to ensure free, fair, transparent elections, you hear Mr. President coming out to say, oh, all of us should allow EC to do its work. Why? What interest does Mr. President have?
Is it wrong to say that?
No. What interest?
Is it wrong
He
to
and
say
his
that
party.
EC must be allowed to do it?
What is their interest?
Alex, I'm asking,
No,
is it wrong for the President of the Republic to say that the Electoral Commission, a state institution, must be allowed to do its work?
Mr. President, in a proper context, can urge all of us, and it is a call that I would embrace, except that when consistently he himself as an individual finds nothing wrong with the conduct of the Electoral Commission. What? Electoral Commission has illegally authorized proxy. Electoral Commission has illegally authorized transfers. The NDC did not see anything wrong with it. But when the Electoral Commission is being criticized for its wrongful acts, you would see Mr. President, you would hear Mr. President coming to their aid, calling on his party foot soldiers that, look, let's defend the Electoral Commission. By the way, is the NDC and the Flagstaff House an arm of the Electoral Commission's PR
Alex, come
machinery?
home. Let me put this question to you to wrap up. Could we have Felix's concern is that the security detail of Nana Addo in the house had weapons, and he thinks that perhaps that is too much.
Look,
and that the police will need to find out whether these weapons are registered. And Wilson also suggested even the persons holding them must be investigated to find out if they are allowed to hold weapons.
by the way, before I answer your question, forgive me because I came late.
Wilson is the communications director of the PNC.
PNC, oh,
Right.
okay. Wilson hasn't expressed interest in urging the police to investigate or arrest the people who attacked the resident. Has he said that?
He had.
Oh, he did that?
Yes.
Oh, very
he is
well.
suggesting that we should put these persons before the law, no
Very
matter
well.
which colors they're wearing.
That is great. And then Felix's concern is that the police should investigate the security detail.
Who were with weapons, whether the weapons are licensed or the persons holding them are registered to hold weapons.
Well, if the police think it's appropriate to do so, and they want to do that, it is their job.
But what do you think?
It is their job. If somebody is a security personnel and is armed, after all, isn't the president armed? Didn't we hear that the president bought a weapon and licensed it with all the national security detail at his disposal? Did we say that the president was stockpiling weapons? Mr. President owns a gun. It's a matter of public knowledge. My good friend, the Deputy Minister of Interior, when the matter became public, and all of us were discussing, why would the president import a weapon? Why would the president go and license a weapon in his name and own one? The justification from government quarters was that the president is interested in personal protection, personal security. That is why he went through due process. In fact, Felix himself defended the matter. So if Mr. President, chairman of the National Security Council, he has the police under his control, he has the army at his beck and call, and yet he would import a weapon and license him for his personal use. All right? Would there be anything wrong with a flag bearer of a party applying, or would anything be wrong if a security personnel of the flag bearer has a weapon and saying it's properly licensed? Okay. So don't let us overflog the matter and divert the issue. The issue here the issue here is that at this critical time, 21 or 22 days to a crucial election, the flag bearer of the leading opposition party's residence has been attacked. He himself was not present at home. He was not at home. At least the wife, some children, and a granddaughter were at home.
Okay.
I have not heard the NDC issuing an absolute condemnation.
They have issued.
No, I'm saying an absolute condemnation.
They have.
No, it's
Felix
not.
has just reiterated
No, it was not an absolute condemnation.
Okay, all right.
It was not an absolute condemnation. Okay? We if you want to demonstrate sincerity, because when it's happening in somebody's backyard, you don't know when next some extremists would also behave like that at your backyard. So at least condemn it absolutely, unconditionally. But if you try to attack the flag bearer's reputation and say the flag bearer is stockpiling weapons, that is most unfortunate.
I asked him to correct that, and which he agreed and said that
I heard him at least on that. I didn't hear the correction.
I asked him to that he can't say that it was stockpiling.
That was most unfortunate. Yes, but to conclude on that, Bright, I made a call on the police. Yeah, that's fine.
10 seconds.
That's fine. I made a call on the police to protect members of parliament and parliamentary candidates or members of parliament who are seeking re-elections. PCs, some form of protection. To date.
You still haven't gotten that.
To date. It is not my personal call, but it's a call that would assist all of us, that would protect all of us, that would give confidence. Because I don't expect the police to always wait and take remedial measures when they can be proactive to avert some of these things.
Alex, I'm grateful. Wilson, you wanted to quickly...
Yes, right. As I mentioned earlier on, and listening to Felix and then... what's his name? Afenyo, right?
Yes, Alexander.
I feel a bit disappointed in this argument that is going on here. Look, an issue has taken place. We want to see how we can address that issue. And I mentioned earlier on that my main worry, it's not even about the NDC or the NPP that crashed. It's about the ordinary person who is selling or walking around or doing something around. My fear is that that person might have been affected. And if that person was affected or is affected, because that person was not in a party colors like the NPP or the NDC, it would have even been difficult for you to get any leading member from those parties going to the help of that person. We are talking about an attack that has taken place. But by the way, Felix, I said, Bright, you remember that some months back, the police decided to give protection to the various political parties.
The candidates of the parties.
What happened to it? Because if the NPP took advantage of that, I'm sure you would have had the police presence in the flag bearer's house. What happened to that one? But if we are also talking about condemning acts, not because we want to define it as political acts or political violence, which we've been doing over the past, and because we do that, we always lose focus. We allow the criminal-minded individuals to go scot-free because instead of us all teaming up to encourage the security agencies to fish out the wrong person, we come and we make argument to the effect that we are defending our own. Isn't it so surprising that we are talking about what has happened? We are all trying to condemn it, and Felix will extend it all the way to all die be die mantra and all that. How does that play in what happened yesterday? Isn't it alarming that we are here talking about a condemnable act? Honorable MP sits here and is talking about the fact that EC has gone in for, or how do you call it, illegal prosy, what have you. Talking about prosy, talking about the fact that we don't have jobs, talking about the fact that there's high cost of doing business. What has that got to do with what happened yesterday? And so when we take this posture, we end up losing the focus. And that is why Ghana has always been, or Ghana is where it is now. Because the two political parties that have had a chance to lead us, the NDC and the NPP, anytime we have national issues of national concern, instead of us discussing it dispassionately, you quickly get them rather
talking and trumpeting their political interest, party's interest.
That is not correct.
That is very true.
It is not
That is very,
correct.
very true.
Alex,
That is
Alex,
very,
please,
very
Alex,
true. No, Alex,
allow
I
him.
listened to
You
you
did
today.
not.
I did.
I told Felix
I
that instead of
listened to
dealing
you.
Alex,
with
we
I
have
listened
already
to you.
run out of time
And we
because
are
we were
here.
late. Just
No,
allow
We
you
are
him.
didn't
very
listen
here.
to
You
me.
are here.
No, you
Instead of us
speak
and
on
my
the issues
argument-
that are relevant. Please. You
But
can
you are talking
criticize
about issues that are relevant. Which issues are relevant?
Right.
And
If
in
somebody
any case,
doesn't
in
listen
any
to
case,
well,
you were
and
talking,
he tried to take
and
you
I
out of
tried coming.
context.
You said I should.
No,
I shouldn't.
because-
So just
no,
be quiet
because-
and let me do it. No,
Alex,
Alex,
you were
it's
getting
not
me
fair.
wrong.
Alex,
I'm not
I'll
getting
get
you
to
you are
wrong.
quoting me.
I'll get
But
you
that is
10
your
seconds.
personal opinion.
Why not
I'll
the-
get you
why
10
not the one
seconds
who
to
said what is
react to
important?
that.
You-
Just
what-
10 seconds to
you give
react
me
to
the
that.
chance
To react to
I-
what
I
he
said
said.
he's quoting me.
I said-
Right, so you
I
allow
know,
Wilson to
because
go
you
on
are
because we're
misquoting me.
running out of
I'll
time.
need to
Alex,
acquire
Alright.
attention.
Alex, what I know,
Wilson,
and I
please
heard.
go on.
So let me go on.
Wilson,
Whether I'm
please go on.
misquoted, you say you have the chance.
You
But
can
listeners and
deal with
everyone,
Felix, not
listen-
me.
can you imagine?
Yes, because if you want to
listeners
why
and
do you want to
viewers,
bring me in?
Alex,
Okay,
because
alright.
what you said for me, I am disappointed.
You completely
No,
misunderstood.
I never
You
misunderstood
completely
you.
misunderstood me.
How does
You were
how
not
does
concentrating on what I was
how
saying.
does
You were writing.
how
You were
does
reading.
because
And now you
what
say
was
you
I
were-
reading? I'm
you had
writing
them
and reading.
when I
That's
was
what
making my
oh,
submission.
right.
You had
Right.
opened the
Please,
paper.
please.
And now you
Let's
come and say you
respect
had
our
me right.
viewers.
Alex,
Let's
Please.
respect
I
our
have
viewers.
I have just
Let's
10 more
respect our
minutes for
viewers.
the show. Can you please
Were we
allow
not,
Wilson
was
to
I
wrap
not
up?
sitting
I'll give
here?
you 5
Were we
seconds
all
to
not
deal
sitting
with
here
that,
when you
and then
said
we'll
that
move on.
the issues,
Wilson, please go on.
the issues that Ghanaians are interested in is that they don't have job. Didn't you mention that?
Wilson,
The
please
issue
go.
that people are no, he said I'm misquoting. I want to read
you are
what he
reading the
said.
papers.
I want to reiterate what you
please
said
move on,
for you to get that I wasn't misquoting you. Were you not the one who came here and said that what Ghanaians are interested in is the high cost of doing business? And I'm asking you,
This is a fact.
Alex,
what has that got to do with NDC and PP clashes?
But this has nothing to do with NDC. If Ghanaians don't have jobs, Ghanaians don't
Can
have
you
jobs.
imagine?
Do you have a job?
We are talking about
have a
NDC
job?
and PP clashing here. You are talking about job, and I'm saying
Alex,
that
it's relevant.
it is this deliberate.
do you have a
It is
job?
this deliberate
So if
way
I'm
of
talking that we need
refocusing
jobs,
national
shouldn't it be
interest
of interest
that has
to you?
brought us to where we are now.
If I'm talking
Instead of
jobs,
you
shouldn't
being
it be of
bold,
interest to you?
letting us condemn what happened, you spoke about 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't even hear you condemning what happened. You are rather talking about jobs and the rest. And I'm saying that this is the deliberate posture of individuals, particularly the NDC and the NPP that have had the chance
Please
to
not
rule
us,
us.
please.
Oh, are you not speaking for NPP?
Please. Address the issue.
Look,
okay, all right. I
Right.
guess we may have to
Right.
wrap
This
up on
is
this
what-
issue
right.
because
what I
run
want
out of
us to
time.
do. Right.
No.
Right. What I want us
I'm
You
going
said
to
you
move.
didn't get
Alex,
to
Alex,
react.
I'll give
let
you
me-
to react.
let me-
I'll give you the chance to react.
Yes, you said
what
you
I
didn't
want
get the chance
us to
react.
do,
Yes.
and I mentioned it earlier, and I'm saying it again. I am encouraging the police to do everything possible to get to the end of this, the root of this matter. Let us identify the individual or the group of persons that were wrong. Let us see how we can bring them to the law. Let us punish them, because if we do that, it will then prevent others from engaging in subsequent acts. But if we take postures and we are rather trying to rationalize it, and we are rather trying to say that, look, okay, it's an NPP thing, it's an NDC thing. We don't have any political crime in this country. There is no law in this country that defines any crime as political. What happened yesterday is a crime. Let us investigate it. Let us find out if it happened that it was the NPP groupings that started the whole thing, and they are at fault. Let us bring them to book. If it happened that it is the NDC groupings that did it and started it and they are at fault, let us bring them to book. And let us stop this political interest kind of argument that we always want to engage ourselves in.
We have 8 more minutes.
We're
We're going to share this equally. Alex,
It's not
I'll
helping
come
us
to
as a
you.
nation.
Alex,
Is it
please,
right?
I'll come to you.
Right, let
We
me-
have just 7 more minutes. We're sharing 2 minutes each on this one, and then
You see,
we'll
right,
wrap it.
let me put it on record that Alexis claim that the president ordered the BNI or some other security agency to investigate Abusi is completely false. Nothing of the sort happened. The second point is that, you see, he speaks of condemnation. But the most important question to ask is exactly what should be condemned. An incident occurred yesterday. Gunshots were fired from the residence of the NPP flag bearer. That is not in dispute. They claim that they shot those guns because stones were thrown into the house of the flag bearer. I have disputed it. We in the NDC have disputed. We have stated clearly that nothing of the sort happened and that any such claim is a fabrication. We have gone further to challenge them to release CCTV footage because they have it in that house. which would confirm and put it beyond doubt.
So you don't trust
please let me make my point.
The photographs in some of the newspapers.
No, you see, let me make my point. In the instance of the shots, there are pictures showing MPP thugs holding guns and firing him.
They call it pictures of
stones. There are stones lying in the house of the MPP
flag
bearer. But you see, there's no picture of anybody lobbing a stone, which is significant. And in this day and age where almost everybody has a phone, it is highly unlikely that such an activity will take place without somebody capturing it. So we have challenged the MPP to release CCTV footage from the cameras in the house of the MPP flag bearer, and that would settle the matter. They are unable to do so. Why? Because nothing of the sort happened. What they did was later on to go and litter stones there in order to justify the misconduct of their people. So if there's anything to condemn, it is a violent posture of the thugs in Nana Addo's house that must be condemned. You see, when I speak about all die be die, and Wilson disagrees with that. And for the records, all die be die was said on 8 February 2011 by the flag bearer of the MPP at Koforidua. It was a secret recording. They hadn't intended it for it to be put out, but it was a secret recording. He was addressing the youth of his party in Koforidua. What he said that day meant that as a party, they were going to adopt violent means to confront opponents they perceive had wronged them. That is the ethos. You see, when you say, for instance,
what you make of what he
absolutely, absolutely, it is a very informed deduction. Because when you say etiwa, what does it mean? What I expect a leader to do is to reprimand persons engaged in violence in his party and urge them to use peaceful, lawful means. That is what somebody who is gunning for the office of the president does. That is what President Mahama would do in any such instance. The other point also is that this same group of people who were wielding guns and firing them yesterday have a history of such conduct in their own party. If I am telling an untruth, I'm sure your viewers will know. Your viewers have seen footage of them fighting in their headquarters, wielding machetes and guns and pursuing people who are opposed to Nana Addo in the MPP. So if this is their conduct, and you hear similar conduct yesterday, why wouldn't you link it to the general belief by that party that violence is the way to go? Why?
Were provoked to do that?
I'm saying that I have categorically, listen, I have categorically,
posters.
What do you call it? Right. There can be no justification for shooting at somebody who defaces a poster. If that were to happen, chaos will happen in this country, because there are many places where MPP people have defaced President Mahama's posters. But it simply doesn't make sense to fire guns at people who are defacing posters. What you do is report them and they are arrested. The other point also is that the reason why this sort of behavior happens is that we have, as a people, immobilized the police from taking action, especially if it involves political actors. The moment they do that, people cry wolf. People shout, oh, intimidation. We are being intimidated. How many times? Why? To the extent that even people who call for war, declare war, and call for people of a certain tribal extraction to be murdered, when they are arrested, party supporters go and mass up and vandalize public property because of it. So that is why sometimes the security agencies are a bit reticent in acting. But I expect action to be taken in this matter, because you see,
but that should change, you know.
It should change. I was back indeed recently when there were some disturbances in Atebu, I believe, when some NDC youth misconducted and misbehaved, basically chased some parliamentary candidate or the other. You recall how the president immediately directed that they should be arrested, and they were arrested, irrespective of the fact that they were NDC supporters. You recall that when President Mills was alive, and we had some incidents involving NDC people chasing DCs here and there, he issued a direct order that anybody engaging in that kind of behavior should be arrested and prosecuted, and that thing was brought to an end. Can the flag bearer of the MPP do same? Has he ever had the courage to condemn the invisible forces who engage in violence on his behalf? You recall how they went to charge
no.
He has direct
forces are
right.
Illegal.
First of all,
I think it's the job of the police.
Yeah, I agree that the police should perhaps disband them. I think the police should do that and disband all vigilante groups, the Boga Bulldogs, Delta, everybody who is a nuisance should be disbanded. But the point is that he bears direct responsibility for the conduct of the people who he has jurisdiction over, especially in his house, because he made a conscious decision to allow them in his house. They are there acting on his behalf. The same way that state security agencies act in the name of the state. If they misconduct themselves, the state takes action, and that is what tells you that the state does not support the action. But here's a situation where these people were bold enough to even lock out their general secretary and their national chairman from their headquarters, and nothing was done. So when I speak, about an ethos of violence, these are the facts. I have not made anything.
All right, we're wrapping up on this one.
Talk about my manifesto.
We'll talk about
your manifesto
briefly.
When was it launched anyway?
Alex, a quick comment. Just 2 3
It is the best.
But you can react to what we're saying.
Right. I am happy of this sudden born-again posture of Felix, that leaders must take responsibility.
Absolutely.
I'm so pleased by
Absolutely.
that. You keep quiet and let me talk. Don't
Except that
worry.
your flag will never change.
Oh, Christ.
Felix, please keep
He
quiet.
doesn't
Allow
take
Alex to
responsibility for
talk.
anything.
Felix,
When the
please
violence was
keep
raging in their
quiet.
party, he said that he's
I
not
will,
responsible.
I'll put your microphone off
Hopefully.
if you don't.
I'm
So
making a
please
valid
keep
point.
quiet. Alex,
takes
please,
responsibility
Alex,
for
please go
nothing.
ahead. Please go ahead.
Sure.
The weekend was long. Please go ahead.
He takes responsibility for nothing.
You see, Fadi
Even
was
if-
arrested by national security because he had written something about the president.
Sure.
The state security agencies arrested him, which was very unreasonable arrest. It was uncalled for. The president did not take responsibility.
The president did not order it.
Can I finish?
Exactly. But you said the president ordered for his arrest. I've
Oh.
disproved that here.
Oh.
So what are you talking about? Is that the kind of responsibility you are talking about? So the president should be responsible for every thief who is arrested at Kasua this morning. Is that what you are? Is that the extent to which
Felix,
you are
it's
telling
8
them?
o'clock.
No, it's only Alexander.
It's 8 o'clock. Please allow. We also need to come. So, Alex, please go.
You see how he's exposed himself. So
How have I exposed
the
myself?
president should not be responsible for
When
any
you bring
conduct.
security guards to your house and they fire weapons that you are aware exist in your house, you take responsibility for it because you made the arrangement. I'm sure the boys did not force themselves on Nado. He made the arrangement, and he would have been satisfied that they have.
Alex, have you invited
to do their
Felix in
job.
to
But
talk
he's
for
asking
you?
me direct questions.
Okay,
which
then
I'm
please go
responding
on.
to. Or he's giving up already.
Please,
Go ahead. I'm
Alex,
not going to
please,
say anything again.
please go.
You have a president who has never taken responsibility for any wrongdoing. We have a president who has never taken responsibility for the failures in his government. He's never.
Really? Did he not take responsibility for
Christ.
himself and said he will fix it? He fixed it. You were in parliament that day. When in February of 2015,
I will be compelled
President
to
Mills'
end
mama
the
said
show
he takes
because I have
responsibility.
hit 8 o'clock, but my producers will
should
give me
rather-
10 more
you should
minutes.
be compelled
So
to take
if
the crew off.
okay, I think yes,
That's what you should do.
I guess so that we can talk about your manifesto.
Exactly.
Alex,
Which
please,
manifesto?
please go on the PNC manifesto.
The best kept secret in Ghana, the PSC manifesto.
No, it's not. It's not.
Nobody knows
It's
about
not
it.
secret.
But
I'll get there.
Well,
Don't worry,
get
I'll
your
get
copy.
there.
Give
It's
me a
not
copy to
secret,
Perry.
but I'll get
You
there.
will, Wesley, please give
Give me a copy to
Felix a
Perry.
copy.
So that
Alex,
I can
please go
make a
on.
vote analysis.
We have a situation where teachers are unemployed. They graduate. A mother pays a child's school fees, completes college of education, and sits at home 3-4 years unemployed. Somebody completes college of nursing, no job. The president is not interested in that. The government will not be interested in finding jobs for these people who are trained for the public sector. They borrow money for an intervention in the 3 northern regions. SADA, they themselves, internal inquiry, point to a fact that monies were abused. They don't take interest in how those monies will be.
What is the government
Take it.
interested in?
Blame game.
Oh.
Running down the opposition leader, thinking of creating a situation of
Right
insecurity.
there. He doesn't take
So that-
responsibility. When he
Oh, no, Felix,
behaves
no,
in a manner
Felix.
that is inconsistent
Alex
with
was
acceptable
wrapping up.
conduct.
Alex was
No,
wrapping
you
up.
see, he says we ran down the opposition leader. It is a sign of a man who doesn't take responsibility. When there is clear wrongdoing on
Felix,
his part, he doesn't want to
just-
accept it. Who should be blamed for the conduct of the invisible forces in his house? Me.
Alex, please forgive
I should
me.
be blamed.
Please go ahead.
At a point, one must demonstrate maturity.
Oh.
So I have to just allow
After
you.
what you did to Wilson.
I'm even surprised. I'm even surprised you're exposing yourself this way.
Alex,
After what you did to
It
Wilson.
means you were immature when you were doing that to me.
Wilson was misquoting me.
I wasn't misquoting
I
you.
directed
What's that one you can help you?
we're running out of time.
What's that
So
misquoting
please,
you?
Alex, please
You
go.
have the last
We run out of time. Wilson will have the last word. You need to talk about the PNCs, man.
We have a situation in this country where there is a total disengagement. The government and its officials have their own world, and the rest of the Ghanaian people have another world, where in the case of the government, they are enjoying, they see pleasure, they see pomp and ease. So when you talk, They come and show you pictures that, oh, we have done this, we have done that. When you ask them about cost, they become jittery. People are suffering in this country. Businesses are collapsing. Businesses are closing down. They pretend they don't know. They pretend they are unaware. Yet they go around saying that, oh, in 2017 there will be jobs. But you've been there for 8 years. 8 years. You couldn't create the jobs. But now that we have just a few weeks to elections, you say that you're going to create jobs in 2017. When Martin Amadou tells them the truth, one of their own, they attack him. Is it also another form of intolerance? Dr. Manipuama is the communication minister. When he speaks on the instructions of the president.
Okay.
So why would they attack somebody because he's calling for money to be funded to the state?
Alex,
listen.
Report acid from them if they disagree with you. You stop that.
Listen, right.
If they disagree with you.
This morning, I don't expect the NDC to admit what they did at the flag bearer's house. It was just provocation, just to provoke the MPP. Well, we have a police in charge of this, isn't it? Is it your responsibility to be taking the footage?
No, you can actually release it without the police.
Aren't you aware that the police is investigating?
Your lies for give it to them to play.
Okay, Felix.
Don't worry.
Okay,
don't worry. We would want the police to investigate the matter.
Okay.
And then I'm saying that
Alex, wrap up.
I am trying to tell Felix that, look, you can have your own world today, but whether you like it or not, there's going to be change.
Okay.
Change is not far from today.
Who will be changed.
Okay, all right.
Change is not far from today.
All the violence
All right.
And it's going to happen.
Okay, Alex, I'm grateful.
So,
Wilson,
you go ahead.
wrap up this.
You know that for the past period, PNC has been one of the parties that has always insisted on issue-based elections. And so any opportunity we get, we want to talk about issues. And we always want to be focused on issues and not to be swayed by any other events. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we were hard hit when EC announced that we were one of the political parties that has been disqualified. And because of that, quickly, all the events and activities that we had came to a halt because we wanted to battle it out. Fortunately, we've been brought back to the ballots. Time is not really our friend because of the few period that we've lost. Now, one of the major events that we were going to engage ourselves in just some days before the announcement came that we've been disqualified was the launch of our party's manifesto. And so since last week we were reinstated, this week we are quickly going in to launch our manifesto. As we speak, our flag bearer and his campaign team has spent the weekend in the northern region visiting some of the constituencies, and they are still there today. They have a couple of constituencies to visit. Then they proceed to Upper East to do same. There we are also going to have our launch, the manifesto launch. So this Wednesday we are going to launch our manifesto in Bolgatanga. But even before the manifesto comes, we have had chances to tell the electorate what our manifesto and our policy is going to be centered on. We are saying that our manifesto and everything in it, as far as getting into the Flagstaff House after 7th December this year, is on 3 thematic areas. New beginning, new force, and a new deal. We are saying that we want to ensure, particularly with the new force, we want to harness the energy of the youth, because the new force deals with individuals within the age bracket of 18 and 35. If you look at our population, the groupings of our population, these individuals in this age bracket constitutes the majority. And so if there's anything that affects this nation, these individuals are affected the more. And so we want to ensure that we put their energy in its right perspective. If you are talking about unemployment, it is this group of people who are affected the more. If you are talking about illiteracy, it is this group of people that are affected the more. Anything and everything you can think of, it is these individuals. The PNC and Dr. Edward Mahama believe strongly that if the youth are our future leaders, then what it means is that the youth are our foundation as a nation. If we get the foundation right, everything will be in its place. And so our concentration is on the youth. We want to build a solid and a strong youth. We want to cushion and prepare them for them to take up the mantle of developing this country from where it is to where it is supposed to be. And so this coming Wednesday, we are having our manifesto launch, and I'm very confident that TV3 will be there to help in publicizing it.
We'll certainly be there. I still have a few minutes. My producers just said we can just add a few minutes. But so let's look at this story on the Daily Graphic. NDC will accept results. Others must do so. President Mahama telling the crowd of supporters. Alex, what is that?
NDC will accept results.
Yes.
Others must what? Why is it his responsibility to urge others to accept results? You see, when people have rigging in mind, when people have rigging in mind, that's the way.
Okay, Alex, you go.
Listen, right. Yeah. When people have their plans of rigging elections, they set the stage.
Alex, that's a serious statement.
Oh, please.
You're making.
It is a serious statement that the president
yes,
has made.
To suggest that someone has plans to rig the elections is unfortunate, Alex.
Right, thank you.
Alex, please.
It is your duty to ask questions.
Yes.
I will answer you, don't worry.
Okay.
You know, fortunately for you, you are not a politician.
So he must allow you to tell lies.
Don't forget that after speaking, you will speak.
It doesn't matter.
All right, so continue to interject.
So that's interjection. I'm very used to it.
You are used to it. That's fine.
You disrupted Wilson all throughout.
Very well.
When you finished, you spoke about maturity.
Very well.
So you can.
You know, he wants to just. He just wants to.
Alex, stay focused and let's go.
No problem. You see, whenever you talk about the EC, the president will set the first tone by condemning all criticisms against the EC. Ask your question, do your analysis, ask yourself, why would the president, anytime the Electoral Commission comes under fire, Mr. President will issue a statement, make a statement to rescue the Electoral Commission?
He has sworn an oath to uphold a state
No,
institution.
Don't worry. Don't go there. Let me finish. The next stage is that, we will accept the result. Trying to play the victim here, we are law-abiding, we accept, others should. No. We are wide awake. In particular, let me speak for the MPP. We will not accept any results that would be seen as a rigged result.
This is official from the MPP.
Of course, not. I mean, if PNC...
I hope that you quote it.
Quote me.
So
the MPP, let me repeat it. The MPP will not accept any result that would seem to be a rigged result. It will not accept it. I am telling you.
I'm grateful.
This is a serious position of the NPP. And if you are not comfortable with that, you should advise your strategists who intend paying money to people to change figures to stay focused and campaign so that you don't jeopardize our democracy.
Okay,
if the president is calling on us,
Alex, I'm grateful.
If the president
now
is calling on us to accept, because they are going to accept, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We would accept genuine results.
Okay, all right.
We will not accept
Felix, please.
Cooked figures.
Please.
The MPP will not accept cooked figures. And that is what you should know.
It is a rape.
Why would he be interested in urging people?
Hopelessly incompetent.
He is a candidate.
That doesn't know.
He has run this country incompetently.
That
having run the country incompetently, you cannot now go around and say that you are going to accept.
They know that
so that others should accept.
Their flag bearer is simply not desirable to the electorate.
Nobody's going to accept
with violence.
So you should do your homework.
Thinking of that party.
Since because you intend to rig the elections.
Alex, that statement, you see,
the MPP will not accept.
What is the evidence? What is the evidence? That the NDC intends to rig the elections.
What is the interest of the president? Why is he always defending the electoral commission?
It's not Alex and focus on me.
No. Why is the
Alex,
NDC
would you allow Felix to come in?
No, why are they always defending the electoral commission?
I say ignore him and focus on me.
No, why are you always defending the electoral commission?
The NPP, through their flag bearer, have rejected the outcome of elections in Ghana, including the one that was held when they were in power. That is how ridiculous they are. Okay? In 2008, the elections that they supervised as government, they claimed it was rigged. So their flag bearer held this country to ransom and created such unnecessary tension that but for President Kufuor's statesmanly approach,
didn't
this country would have been thrown into chaos. In 2012, he lied.
What happened
together with Jacob Blamte and that the elections had been rigged. Took it to court, wasted our time for 8 months. And when the case was thrown into the dustbin, they went around blaming everybody, including Otunfo. for that. That is how ridiculous they are. So the MPP's flag bearer has, listen, the MPP's flag bearer has a history of rejecting election results.
Okay. But, Alex, I'm grateful.
Final point.
We will not accept the MPP.
When we lost in 2004, we accepted it, the country moved.
Okay.
All
right. Where's the wrap up for me? Please wrap up for me.
If you intend to bring
Wilson, please wrap up for me.
If you intend to change figures,
tell Alex that I'm
advise
talking.
yourself.
He should be matured in his own words. Alex,
I'm addressing.
I'm talking. I'm the one.
I'm addressing.
I am not on floor.
Okay.
Am I not the one talking?
Okay.
So, all right.
So you're not going to
Alexander Feyon Makin is a member of Parliament for Futu. Wilson is the PNC's Communications Director. Felix Kwatofosu is a Deputy Communications Minister. Gentlemen, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm sorry. I'm grateful for your time. For the